Hi, I'm Janice, and if this is the first video of ours that you have seen, I want to say that this one is going to be a little bit different from what we normally do on this channel. First of all, normally there's two of us, and we usually don't read from a script, but today I have a lot to say, and I have a long way to go before I'm comfortable speaking in front of a camera, so I apologize for that. Even if there wasn't a camera involved, though, I have always been better at expressing myself through writing than speech. So today I will be reading to you from the heart. Like the title says, this video will discuss how I lost my first 20 pounds. If you know me in person, you know I've lost a little more than that, and I've tweaked my strategy a little bit. But I thought the first 20 pounds was a good stopping point, and if I do another one of these videos at my next milestone, you'll hear about that. So I'll start with a little background information. I think I grew as an adult somehow, and I'm probably 5'4" now on a good day. In high school, I started putting on a little bit of weight. I got up to 130, and I was able to lose 20 pounds at age 19 by doing a lot of cardio. And I may have been a little bit small for my height back then, but I didn't maintain that for too long. I started putting weight back on shortly after that, and it didn't really become too noticeable until about age 22 or 23 when I got above 135. From that year on, I put on an average of 5 to 10 pounds per year, and I knew that I had to make a change. Because growing up, I watched family members suffer with type 2 diabetes, and I swore that I would do everything I could to prevent it. I've also always been enchanted with the idea of being a runner, and I was getting further from my goal every year. So my highest weight that I know of was 173 pounds at age 28. I could have been a little higher than that, but I was sort of reluctant to step on the scale back in those days. For me, the weight is not just about the weight. I was in a pretty dark headspace, and the weight was a symptom of that, but it also contributed to making me feel worse about myself. I don't know how to put this in a way that that version of me could have listened to, but I had to drag myself out of that darkness before I could begin. If I had been unable to do that, I would have become too discouraged at the first setback, and nothing would have changed. So how to come back into the light? Well, I started with the quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald, and it's, "I hope you live a life you're proud of. If you find that you're not, I hope you have the strength to start all over again." So I took a look at my life, and I made some pretty serious changes that other people might not agree with. I reached out to an old friend who I hadn't spoken to in a very long time, and I was really fortunate because that turned out very well, and now we make videos together every week. And for the first time in my life, I'm doing something about my mental health. And all of this has brought me to a place where I could begin to work on losing the weight. So now here are the details of what I've done to gradually lose 20 pounds. The first thing I did that I should mention was I switched my diet in January from vegetarian to vegan. Now I want to be clear and say that I was eating unhealthily as a vegetarian, and I continued to do that for a while as a vegan. So I didn't see much of a loss initially. Because, well, now is the most convenient time in history to go vegan. It's also easier than ever to be a junk food vegan if you want to. And while I can't eat too much cheese anymore, I can still eat too much sugar. If you're gaining weight as rapidly as I was, there may be at least one common sense reason why. You might have a Mountain Dew habit or a Dorito habit, or like me, an energy drink habit. Those things have 200 empty calories. And when you're 5'4", you have fewer calories to play around with. That's just how it is. Also, if you have rules for yourself regarding your habit in order to justify it to yourself, you might have a bit of a problem. I only allowed myself one energy drink a day because I didn't want to be dependent on them, which I absolutely was. I've watched weight loss videos where people identify several of these habits and cut out one per week, but I am not that disciplined. If you are, that's awesome, that's great, but if it takes you several weeks to kick one habit successfully, then that's okay too. Another thing that was so helpful for me, and I'm quite lucky to have, and I know that not everybody can do this, but if you can, I recommend it because it was really helpful for me, is to have a friend to exercise with. It's much easier to find the motivation to walk all the way around the lake if you're catching up with a friend the whole time. You might even find that you want to walk around a second time. In the beginning, I didn't push myself to exercise too hard. I had no problems exercising when I was smaller, and I remember how much I loved it. But since putting on the weight, my calves would get very tight, whether I was running, dancing, or even walking too far sometimes. So I had to take it frustratingly slow and listen to my body, which is what they say to do. But I'm a very impatient person and I found it pretty difficult. Gradually increasing the frequency and intensity of my workouts has produced results. I like cardio, so that's the type of exercise I did. I mainly did Zumba and the elliptical machines, and I would go on walks when the weather was nice. All of these things combined are how I was able to lose 20 pounds. If you're on a weight loss journey, I wish you the best of luck. And if you're mired in a dark place, I hope you are able to take care of yourself and find your way back to the light again soon. It can be difficult to prioritize your physical and mental health, but it is well worth it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.